Well, it's starting, folks. This is Eric Erb Live. You can find me online at ericherblive.com. Of course, on Spreaker.com/Eric Erb Live, and right here on Anchor, that's anchor.fm, anchor.fm/Eric Erb Live. Like, share, subscribe if you like this podcast. Okay, let's get into it. I have something very disturbing. I don't even know what to call her. I guess the Prime Minister of New Zealand. This chick out there, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, is nuts. That's all I got to say. What they're wanting to do in New Zealand, this news via naturalnews.com, that's naturalnews.com. Headlines Monday, August 17th, 2020. The headlines read, folks, mandatory quarantine camps were just rolled out in New Zealand, a globalist testing ground for mass extermination of humanity. So there in New Zealand, this Jacinda, I don't know her last name, she is the prime minister there in Jacinda Ardern is the prime minister there in New Zealand. She's a nut. She's probably about 30, 35-year-old. She's not very old. She was brought up in the political system, brought and groomed, had been part of their parliament for a while, grown up in the system, finally voted in. This extremely far left-wing radical nut. And I do mean nut because there at one time she took all the guns away or tried to take all the guns away for all the folks there in New Zealand. What gets me, before I get into the article, folks, I just want to preference this. What gets me is all the time in these countries, meaning the countries around the world, they elect these nuts, these absolute positive fucking nuts. I don't understand that. They can't ever seem to elect anybody that's worth a shit. And I say that all over the country. I mean, you have that down in South America. We have our own issues here in Congress with different types of people. It's been in Congress forever and forever. And I understand the system. I understand the system very well. The system, meaning the voting system around the world, this democracy as we so call it, the system is flawed. These people like Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, since we're talking about her, and I'm going to get into it and break it down in just a second, these people are put in place by the elites. A lot of people don't understand that. They're in the system. They're groomed in the system. They rise to power because the elites want them at some point and some time to rise to power. This Jacinda Ardern always makes me cringe. I know that she is not even married, has a boyfriend or a spouse or a live-in husband, whatever you want to call it. She's not married. She ascended to power. She just had a baby here, I believe, just a year or two ago. She's ascended to power right through the ranks because the elites want her to. And then now, as the headline reads here at naturalnews.com, mandatory quarantine camps were just rolled out in New Zealand, a globalist testing ground for mass extermination of humanity. So let me get into the article and break this down a little bit here, folks. After outlawing firearms possession by citizens, which is like I just said that just a minute ago, folks, New Zealand's government is now exploiting its power monopoly to roll out mandatory quarantine camps for people who might be infected with the COVID-19, and some people will never be allowed to leave those camps, New Zealand Prime Minister insists. Well, there you go. You have somebody, and again, I'll say over in this country because I can't speak for New Zealand, but again, every time I've seen this Prime Minister of New Zealand, I just cringe. This makes me cringe over there because she's just a power-hungry little bitch is all she is. I see this in my old home state of Michigan. Thank God, and I thank God Almighty every day that I'm in the state of Florida, and we do have a governor, at least who tries to adhere to the Constitution and the Second Amendment and so on and so forth. And this governor of Michigan, I see the same thing over there. It's the same crap. Governor Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. I was talking to my sister there about a month or so ago up there in Michigan, and I was saying, how do you deal with a dictator? And it just makes me cry because all them people own firearms like myself. All them people are good, God-fearing people. How could they elect somebody like this Governor Whitmer? The same way that these people, these good people of New Zealand, elected Governor Jacinda Ardern, or excuse me, Prime Minister Ardern, rather. You know, it's absolutely, positively, it's sad. And again, I realize, because I've been around for a long time, I realize that it's all a set-up deal. It's a set-up deal to imprison humanity. It's a set-up deal to imprison these citizens of over here in the United States of this state. It's a prison system set up over there in New Zealand to imprison the poor people. I'm just wondering, folks, I'm really wondering, you know, where are the patriots? Where are the Christians? Won't somebody stand the fuck up? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Where are the fucking patriots at? I go on here and I rant and rave. I rant and rave on my other podcast channel as well, Shockwave News, and it's the same damn thing. Where the fuck are all you people at? Am I the only person on the airways that's complaining and bitching? If that's the case, then I guess I stand alone against tyranny. I stand alone against these evil people that want to harm us Christians and harm humanity and kill everybody and depopulate everybody and chip everybody. You know, these people, it's all part of a circus. It's all part of a deal. It's all part of the grandiose plan. And the end game is to give everybody the chip. Bill Gates has said it. It just goes on and on. Bill Gates has said it. Soros has said he hates everybody, wishes everybody would die. George Soros here in the United States, because he hates us. He hates us to a passion. And he wouldn't mind seeing at least this part of humanity in the United States wiped out. George Soros has said that before on YouTube, believe it or not. You can find it there. So let's get into this. Let's break this down here. Well, I got a couple minutes. After outlawing firearms possession by citizens, New Zealand's government now exploiting its power monopoly to roll out mandatory quarantine camps for people who might be infected with the COVID-19 coronavirus. And some people would never be allowed to leave those camps, the New Zealand Prime Minister insists. The medical fascism rules will ensnare family members of people who test positive for COVID-19, even though they may nearly be all testing conducted around the world is unreliable and routinely produces false positives. Now, it's clear that the coronavirus pandemic is being weaponized by the globalists, and these are the globalist elite folks, the globalist-minded bureaucrats, to enslave the masses in preparation for the global vaccine depopulation initiative. And that's exactly what it is. That says it, that the article says it much better than what I would say it. All I'm going to say is they want to kill us. They want to kill all the motherfuckers. Want to kill all of us. That's the bottom line. They do. They want to get it weeded down to about 500 million. You can read the Georgia Guidestones. That's another thing. Go on Google and Google the Georgia Guidestones. Eventually, the elite want to get us whittled down to about 500 million. So there's about almost 8 billion people. So 7.5 billion people, which is a ton of fucking people, folks. They want us all dead. And this is no shit. I'm not making this up. You can go to the resources that I'm quoting here through the article. Let me continue here. Dr. Ashley Broomfield says the mandatory quarantine will apply to both new cases and, if necessary, close family members who might be at risk. Reports great game in India. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern in a Facebook Live explained in detail how each and every activity will be monitored in these camps, and that refuse to be tested will be forced to stay in the camps for longer duration. So again, we're talking about camps. They're not calling them FEMA camps as we call them over here. It's the same damn shit, folks. When are you going to wake the fuck up? My answer is you would rather just stay a sheep and drink your fucking beer and watch your fucking TV and watch your soap operas because you just don't give a shit. Well, if you want to die, then more power to you. But I'm going to keep preaching, keep praying, keep preaching, keep teaching, and stay on the airways here and letting people know what the fuck is up with this. These people, for the patriots out there, and I hope you don't take any disrespect, the people that are gun owners like myself and patriots, these people will start waking up eventually, hopefully sooner than later before it's too late. They're taking away our rights. They're taking away our constitutional rights. They're taking away everything that we've ever, hundreds of years we've worked for in this country. They're just taking it away. They're using it for toilet paper. You know what? The Democratic Party, not all members, but most members, they wipe their ass on the Constitution, or that's what they hope that they can do. Wipe their ass. Once they wipe their ass full of shit, then they flush it down the toilet. That's all they think of the Constitution. The Constitution is something to get in the way and something to prevent them from carrying out their evil plans, which again, as I've said before, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates. Bill Gates is the talking point. He's the pathetic sounding board. He is the puppet that the elites have placed out there to do all the talking, to try to smooth talk this, it's okay if you get your shot, and yeah, we'll come back in a year and we'll chip you, or 6 months we'll chip you, and blah, blah, blah. This is all okay. It's not the fuck okay. It's not okay with me, and I'm sure anybody listening to this podcast, it's not okay with you. So here you go. I'm going to get right back into it as I conclude with this article here. Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, explains that if you refuse to be tested, you will indefinitely, and I quote, indefinitely be in prison and never allowed to leave the quarantine camp. We are quarantining everyone. Now we are also mandating testing that makes us the most stringent in the world. There are countries that are requiring self-isolation. We're taking it a bit further. I mean, this chick is just a fucking evil nut, a Satanist and an evil nut. And again, I cringe every time she opens up her mouth there. It's just not even funny. She puts the makeup on, tries to look a lot younger, but she's got all her wrinkles on her face and everything. I just cringe every time I think of Prime Minister Ardern. I mean, it's terrible. We are quarantining everyone. Now we are mandatory quarantining everyone. This makes us the most stringent in the world. There are countries that are doing self-isolating. We're taking it a bit further. If anyone moves to a common area or is getting some fresh air, which is all monitored, no one can do that on their own. Can you believe that, folks? This crazy, nutty Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, says you can't even get air. You can't even get fucking air, folks. Are you people hearing this? Wake the fuck up out there. I mean, are you hearing this? They can only leave or be in a space to get a little bit of fresh air if they're supervised because, of course, it's a quarantine facility. We have put millions of dollars in supporting this to happen. So this was already pre-planned. They were already building this. These fuckers, these evilist, Satanist people already had this in mind. Then she says, I have a number of questions of people refusing. What if we do something, refuses to be tested? Well, they can't now. If somebody refuses to in our facilities to be tested, we have to keep saying they won't be allowed to leave after 14 days. They have to stay for another 14 days. Behold the face of evil, which is her. Quarantine camps are actually death camps in the making. And then now this article goes on, and I conclude 6 months ago, nobody living in the USA, Canada, Australia, or New Zealand could imagine the mandatory authoritarian quarantine camps where prisoners aren't allowed to leave unless they submit to mandatory testing, which are fake. They're rigged for the COVID-19 test kits that produce nearly all false positives, folks. today it's become a reality in New Zealand, just as we long warned would happen. Now the next step is the gentle art of turning these quarantine camps into death camps. If humanity does not rise up, soon billions will be exterminated, folks. And I pray to God Almighty, somebody listening to this, just wake up. Please wake the hell up, please. I pray you folks will wake up and just listen and heed my warning and heed my message. It started there in New Zealand. Don't think it can't come to the United States. It can't come to Russia, China, the UK. It's going to go all over. This is just a start. They're just doing a test run over there in New Zealand because they have a low population and they know that the forces in place can control the low population. Wait till they go to a big country like the United States, then you'll see all-out hell and war. Okay, if you like this podcast, folks, like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. This is Eric Erb from Eric Erb Live. You can find me online at ericerblive.com. Also on anchor.com. That's anchor.fm. Anchor.fm/Eric Erb Live. And here on Spreaker, that's Spreaker.com/Eric Erb Live. Like, share, subscribe. God bless, folks, and please stay safe out there.